Welcome back, everybody, to WWTA News, and we've got some more information that we're going to get through. But before we do, can I get you to hit that like button? And you can subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. But most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and loved ones, because this might be information that's helpful and useful to them as well as they plan for their future. Now, with all that done, let's get into our article here. And it's not so much an article. It's really something that Mr. Bukele is putting on blast. And, I thought we should all just take a look at it. So that's all we're going to do with this video. We're going to look at what Bukele talking about. What you talking about, Bukele? And if you don't know, the president of El Salvador, who made Bitcoin legal tender. And so it's important that we keep up with what he's got going on so we can understand the possibilities for the future for other nations as well. Now, Mr. Nayib Bukele. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that the U.S. government would be afraid of what we are doing here. What are you doing there, Mr. Bukele? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, Bukele? Mr. Bukele, what you doing? All right, so what is he talking about? What is Mr. Bukele talking about? We know that United States, and United Nations, they were like, look, we don't want you to make Bitcoin legal tender, and so there was a little, pushing contest, and then the United States made a few statements, and then like, oh yeah, why y'all minding my business, bro? He's like, yo, for real, I don't obey you people. Why are y'all acting like y'all gonna make me do something? Like, you ain't gonna make me do nothing, bro. You need to fall back with all that. Yeah. So he ain't having that. But what is he talking about? So yes, there was a bill suggestion or passed. I don't know, but let's see what's going on. So here's the bill he shared. In the Senate of the United States, there's a bill, the 117th Congress, second session. And it says to require reports on the adoption of a cryptocurrency as legal tender in El Salvador and for other purposes. Ooh. All right, so what's the big deal? Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America, representative of the United States of America, in Congress assembled. Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the Accountability for Cryptocurrency in El Salvador Act. Oh, so Bukele is offended first and foremost because you nosing around in his business and you putting it on blast by creating a bill, right? Not only is you creating a bill, but you literally put him in there, like the Accountability for Cryptocurrency in El Salvador Act. I can see how he feels some kind of way about that, bro. Like, what are y'all doing? What are you doing in the U.S.? Like, y'all really nosing around too much, right? That's what he's really saying. I feel you, bro. This act may be cited as Accountability for Cryptocurrency in El Salvador Act. What do you mean by that? All right, let's continue. In general, no later than 60 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Secretary of State, in coordination with the heads of other relevant federal departments and agencies, shall submit to the appropriate committees of Congress a report on the adoption. Listen carefully. They're saying just report on the adoption by the government of El Salvador of a cryptocurrency as legal tender. Hey, just let us know how's it going on the adoption, right? That seems harmless. Elements, the report required by subsection A shall include the following. 1, a description of the process followed by the government of El Salvador to develop and enact the Bitcoin law. Legislative Decree number 57, Official Record number 110, Volume 431, enacted June 9th, 2021, which provides the cryptocurrency Bitcoin with legal tender status in El Salvador. That's really harmless. How did they do it? How did they develop that law? What do you mean, how did they develop that law? How did they word it? How are they using that? Because that kind of opens doorways for other nations to follow the same thing, right? Right? Is that what they're saying? This is still kind of harmless, right? An assessment of the regulatory framework in El Salvador with respect to the adoption of a cryptocurrency as legal tender and the technical capacity of El Salvador to effectively mitigate the financial integrity and cybersecurity risk associated with the virtual asset transactions. Whether the regulatory framework in El Salvador meets the requirements of the Financial Action Task Force with respect to virtual asset transactions. And there's that word asset again. So it's still kind of harmless, right? How are they negating and moving around, and how are they doing this? Because their laws are their laws. Their system is their system. Is the United States trying to figure that out so they can then incorporate the same thing? I don't know. It's at least one guessing, right? Then it says the impact on individuals and businesses of requiring tender of Bitcoin and the impact of such adoption of a cryptocurrency on the macroeconomic stability and public finances of El Salvador, including taxation. Well, that I don't even know why they're asking that question, because when you talk about the United States, how many states are already accepting cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, for payment of taxes? Come on, really? But let's continue. The rule of law and democratic governance in El Salvador, the unbanked population in El Salvador, the flow of remittances from the United States to El Salvador. Remittances, sending money to El Salvador, is the United States doing, right? We already know the United States had sent USD via XLM to Venezuela when they needed some assistance. So what's so shocking about this, right? It's like, all right, El Salvador. Before I go any further, United States has been moving around in the crypto space. They've been sending money around via crypto networks. So I don't look. They are collecting Bitcoin and selling Bitcoin. What do you mean they're collecting Bitcoin? Let's not act like we haven't seen documented stories and evidence of the United States catching criminals, then therefore collecting their Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and then auctioning it off. This is not new. What does that mean? That means the United States is dealing in crypto. Come on. Ugh. But let's continue. It says El Salvador's relation with multilateral financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, and the World Bank, bilateral and international efforts to combat transnational illicit activities, right? Well, right, you want to put a halt to that stuff, so you hope that's not going on, right? El Salvador's bilateral economic and commercial relationship with the United States and the potential for reduced use by El Salvador of the United States dollar. And that's an important one right there. But it's not that big of a deal, right? So El Salvador does deal in the United States dollar. This is the currency that they use, right? And so does dealing in cryptocurrency really diverge that much from the United States dollar, especially when the United States already has, even though they're not admitting to it, this is my personal opinion, I truly think that they're just releasing information as they go when it's time, but I believe they already have their own central bank digital coin. And me personally, it looks like it's, USDC. That's the first thing I thought years ago when I saw USDC pop up on Coinbase. I was like, wow, that's strange. United States dollar coin. That's, who would think to use that term, right? Now, USDT. Yeah, United States dollar token, right? Token, right? It's like a joke. But and then you saw the pressure that the United States put on USDT, and now you see the growth of USDC as a currency being used, a stablecoin being used to do more transactions. So do you even need? It doesn't matter, but just speculative stuff, and you could always be wrong speculating, but it is what it is. But let's continue. They used the United States dollar down there, and it's paper money. And if you look at the past articles we've gone through, we're going into electronic money. We've been in electronic money. It's now layer 3 version, where it's going to be simplified and better for all nations and businesses. So we're just going into the souped up version. You know what I'm saying? We coming out of that base level car, and we're moving into the luxurious souped up version. That's all we're doing. All right, so it says existing United States sanctions, frameworks, and the potential for the use of cryptocurrency to circumvent such sanctions, right? And that's not nothing new. So there's nothing nefarious about this stuff yet. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of like general stuff that they would want to know, right? Especially all nations would want to know this stuff, right? So they could do the same thing or follow the same path. It seems harmless right now. A description of the internet infrastructure of El Salvador and an assessment of the degree to which cryptocurrency is used in El Salvador. You see the wording there? Cryptocurrency used in El Salvador. We're not talking assets now. We're talking currency. I tell you, words mean everything, so you know what you're talking about. All right, it says matters relating to chain of custody and the potential for hacking and cyber theft of cryptocurrency. And that's major, because you know what's happening all over when it comes to cryptocurrency. People are getting scammed, people are getting, robbed, and so on and so forth. So yes, you'd want to know these things. Access to transparent and affordable internet and digital infrastructure among the unbanked population of El Salvador. Yes, you'd want to know these things, right? You did what? Elon Musk was trying to put his satellites up in the air so he could do Skylink or whatever, so everybody could have internet access. You know what I'm saying? I believe when Obama and his administration was in office, they were trying to get internet everywhere, right? Can you see where this is going? This has been in the works for a long time. It ain't nothing new. All right, so yes, how can they all get internet to their phones or digital devices, technically their phones, so they can then therefore be in the same system, which is the electronic money system? Cryptocurrency, like electronic money, bruh. Not cryptocurrency. Yeah, well, electronic money. Yeah, cryptocurrency. It's funny. Plan to mitigate risk to the United States financial system posed by adoption of cryptocurrency as legal tender in certain countries. Now, that's a little more clear. How can the United States, mitigate any risk from other countries getting into this space, right? Because cybersecurity is one of the major things. That's not going to end, because they tell you all the time on TV, hacks, people scamming people and getting into systems and doing all this stuff. They tell you cybercrime. They tell you this all the time. And that is real. If you haven't been touched yet, count your quote unquote blessings. But a lot of people have already been touched when it comes to hacking and cybercrime, and they've lost money. Lots of money. We ain't talking no $100, no $200, lots of money. All right. That's real. But let's continue. It says, in general, no later than 90 days after the submittal of the report required by subsection A, the Secretary of State, in coordination with the heads of other relevant federal departments and agencies, shall submit to the appropriate committees of Congress a plan to mitigate any potential risk to the United States financial system posed by the adoption of a cryptocurrency as legal tender in El Salvador, right? So any risk, right, of the adoption of a cryptocurrency as legal tender in El Salvador and I guess they'd be saying and other countries. So, all right. And this is my personal opinion on how I see things right now. I'm going to share my thoughts. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to share my thoughts. So each country, and this isn't nothing new. We heard Obama during the Obama administration say that there's going to come the time in the future where each country is going to use their goods and services to generate the value of their economy and their money, right? So each country, each nation will be doing this. So this is not anything surprising, new, or shocking. You look at what is it? Who is it? Colombia or Venezuela with the petrol coin. They got their petrol coin. All these nations. You got with the Bahamas with the sand dollar. So you have. All right. Wow. Let's try to clean this up for a better understanding. If you have something to back your currency, right? Now we're talking electronic money now, which is going to be the easiest way to do business. Now, if you have something to back your currency and give it value, then that's what's giving your country's currency value. Not going to change. Your country is going to have X amount of currency based on the value of what they have to give that value. So if they mine in gold, they can use the gold to give their currency value. And it's electronic money that'll be on the blockchain on Web3, which is the new currency or the new layer of internet where blockchain exists. All right. So, what's giving your country's currency value? That's not going to change. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you look at countries that were having to get US dollars to have value, well, no more. What do you have in your country that is a value that you have to give your currency value? So let's say a country wants to create a central bank currency, which is their native currency to their country, and they want to back it by grain. And let's say they produce X amount of grain every year and they ship it to all these countries. So their currency is valued at their grain harvest, right? So based on how many countries want your grain, this is how the value of your currency will go up and down. And this is just my understanding of this. Take it and run with it, or take it and get mad and get in the comment box like, man, I won't hear that. But think about it. Now, your country is going to have its value of currency based on what it has. So let's say you produce a lot of oil in your country. So we already know that the petrol dollars what the United States has had for the longest time, we do understand the currency used to be back. Well, the currency was gold way back, and then the gold was then collected and farmed by corporations, and then that's a whole nother story we're not going to have a discussion on, because it is what it is. Most people, if you're watching this channel, you already know about that. But so whatever you have is what's going to back your currency. So a central bank digital currency is not a bad thing, because it's going to be valued in your country. So you say, okay, well, my country's coins, digital coins are 1-to-1 based on the United States dollar. And so what do you mean by that, sir? So we know commonly, everybody knows what a dollar is. And it's a 1.00, right? And $1 is a dollar. So everybody understands how that works. So if we still use the dollar as a basis of understanding value, and I say this by saying this, like you look at different countries, you look at the peso, right? You might have a peso valued at 50, 60 cents versus $1 of US, which means that you don't technically have a 1-to-1. A 1-to-1 would be 1.00, 1.00, 1-to-1. But if you have a currency that's valued at 36, 46, 86 cents, it's not a 1-to-1 yet, it's a fraction. You know what I'm saying? So then if you use the United States dollar base as a 1-to-1, not that the United States dollar has to exist in the form of paper anymore. You're talking about electronic money now. You say, let's use USDC, for example, and we're going to give it a 1-to-1 ratio. Then the next country says, okay, well, our currency is as strong, and so we're going to weigh it and print it out digitally as a 1-to-1. So we say, okay, we have a production of grain every year, X amount, that gives us the ability to have 1-to-1, right? 1-to-1 of a dollar, because we all know the dollar in every country. 1-to-1, we can have gross domestic product, right? A value, a GDP value, right? You can say you got a value of 500 billion, right? So you say your country has 500 billion dollars worth, right? So it's 1-to-1, 560 billion and 500 billion every year, 1-to-1. So then you can print out your currency, not print it out, but you can create your currency of 500 million or billion, because that's what you have every year. And so then when your grain value drops or you're not producing or selling anymore, then there's where the problem comes in. It has to then therefore kick out money that can't exist, because you can't have 500 million or billion every year being grown, but then it's not physically being grown in value anymore. Like, say for instance, there's a reduction of buyers, so then that 500 billion that you were used to every year becomes like 390 billion. So then your one-to-one can't exist anymore at 500 billion, because you're averaging 390 now versus your 500 billion. So then it's going to get real technical, and I wouldn't even want to just that's a lot to think about. So they would have to figure all that stuff out anyway, and this is what the Treasury and all the branches of government will be sitting there figuring out, and that's how they work all that stuff. But it's not a bad thing to have a central bank digital currency, in my personal opinion. It's going to be something that's needed for your own country. Now, when you start moving currencies around for use case, that's different. I don't need, if there's a app. And this app, I can, let's use, for example, I'm going to close it here because it'll be a long video, but let me use one example. There's Bejeweled, right? Or I think it's Bejeweled or something on your phone. You play the game and you can buy their currency in game, and you can buy things with that currency in game, in that game. Now, cryptocurrency, electronic money is operating the same way. Just you go in there and you buy currency so you can use that app or that product or that game. You're going to use it for that. That's going to exist. You don't want to be bringing in your central bank digital currency for your country to do that. Then there's extra stuff going on. If I'm going to be using that app, I'll just convert some of my central bank digital currency into the currency of that I'm going to use. So I'll say, okay, well, I'll use $200 worth of this in this game, which will give me 50,000 of those credits, or 100,000 credits for that application or that game or that service. I've converted that's in my wallet. So every time I go to do business with that store, that game, whatever it is, I'll pay in their currency. They'll accept that currency because they trust that currency. It's theirs. It has a true value that they trust. They accept their currency. And then the government accepts their currency, the central bank digital currency of theirs that they create. They trust it, so they'll accept that for payment. That's why I see how all this is important, and you need all of it. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, that was long-winded. If you have any comments, of course, you can post it at the bottom. I'm sorry I got long-winded with that, but it's just looking at what Bukele is talking about. It just doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. It doesn't look that bad or scary. It just looks like investigation, finding out how things work. So anyways, that's going to conclude this video. If you like to hit the like button, you can also share this to your family and friends so they can get something out of it if you got something out of it. And you can catch us again in the next one.